My wife doesn't listen. I'm so tired of this woman. That man doesn't listen. There's nothing you can tell me. I've tried everything with him, but he just doesn't listen. That is one of the things you hear in couple therapy. Spouses complaining that this person doesn't listen, that person doesn't listen, and then you begin to wonder, who exactly is not listening? Communication issues is the number one reason why couples show up for therapy. And in this series, my husband and I want to share with you one communication style that we adopted over the years and has been helping us in our communication. I want to let you know it takes practice, practice, practice. But come to think about it, what does communication really mean? What is it really all about? When your spouse is saying something to you, what is the unspoken need? What are they trying to achieve? It's important to know that when you're communicating with your partner, it is actually you advocating for connection. Yeah, that's what communication is. Communication is saying, hey, listen to me. I want to connect with you. I want you to understand me on a deeper level. That is really what it is. And if you have that in mind, when you don't listen to your partner, without you saying it, what you're actually saying is, I don't want to know you on a deeper level. I don't want to connect with you much more than this. I am not interested in understanding you for real. When you put it that way, that hurts, right? But that is what we do when we don't listen to our partners. And then somebody will say, she makes it hard for me to listen. She talks to me impolitely. She doesn't stop. She just goes on and on and on. Blah, 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 blah. Or another will say, it's like when we are communicating, I just feel so little. He talks to me like he's talking to our youngest child or even one of his workers. But I deserve more than that. So yes, a lot of times people say that they don't listen because their partners do not communicate to them the way they want to be communicated. As we go deeper into this, let us, look at some of the things, some fundamentals that will guide this conversation. Number one is for you to know that you have a right to express yourself. In marriage, you should not be stifled. Your home should have an environment where everyone is free to express themselves. However, you should know that as much as you have your right to express yourself, your partner also has a right to be spoken to kindly. So not because you have to express yourself, then you just go on talking to your partner anyhow, you use swear words, you belittle them in your speech. That takes me to the second point. Anybody spoken to unkindly, either you're communicating and you're blaming your partner, you're criticizing them, you're accusing them, will naturally react. And more times than not, the reaction is defensive. And when the person gets defensive, the communication does not really achieve its underlying aim of deeper connection. And thirdly there is a way to say what you want to say to your partner, to communicate with your partner without blaming your partner, without criticizing your partner, without complaining. And your partner will also get the message without feeling blamed, without feeling criticized, and without being accused. You would like to learn that. What if I told you that how you communicate tells more about you than your partner? Interesting, right? Yeah, because the way you communicate is a reflection of the 4 P's that I'll be sharing with you. But Dima, are we not talking about listening here? Why are you talking about my communication style? It is because the way you communicate influences how your partner listens to you. So if you want to make your partner listen to you, we want to first of all check that you are communicating in a way that provides the enabling environment for your partner to listen to you. So, how have you been speaking to your partner? Who taught you how to speak that way? Where did you learn how to scream? Where did you learn how to shout? Where did you learn how to blame? Where did you learn how to play pity party and cry when you're supposed to be communicating? Where did you learn emotional blackmail? Where did you learn suppression of emotions? Let's look at these 4 P's and take the lessons from it. One of the factors that influence how you communicate is your parenting, your upbringing, how you observed and saw your parents communicate with themselves and with you, and the kind of home environment you grew up in. If you grew up in a home where your parents communicated with loud voices, shouting at themselves or at the children, you're likely going to pick that up and bring it into your home. If you grew up in a home where your voice was heard, you felt seen, you could express yourself, you were allowed to ask questions, you were allowed to disagree if you did not agree, you're likely going to bring that into your relationship. But if you grew up in a home where you were, come on, sit down. Who told you to ask that question? What do you mean? Are you not afraid? You're going to bring that to your relationship. Your partner may ask you a question and you're like, who is this to ask me? Especially if you're a man. And maybe you grew up in a home where your father was the Lord and Master and your mother dare not challenge whatever he said. You are likely going to come into your marriage and talk that way. But you forget that your wife is not your mother. And your wife was not also raised in your home. If you grew up in a home where you were not suited, where, for example, you were not free to express your emotions. In fact, in your home, expression of emotions was seen as a weakness. And so you were shouted at, come on, don't do that. You're crying. Why are you crying? Come, get off it. Be a man. You can rise above that. And, it was not demonstrated to you that your emotions could be validated. Or maybe you're having a quarrel with a sibling or something with your parent and you felt a certain way and you were made to feel shame for feeling that way. You will not know how to express emotions in a relationship. And even when you come into a relationship with someone who was raised in a home where they were free to express their emotions, where they felt validated, and your partner is expressing emotion, you will think that they are weak. You will almost want to make them grow up. And then your partner could be like, you're so tight up. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know what is in his mind. You're just bottled up. You're just used to doing things yourself because you did not have that upbringing that normalized emotions for you, that validated your emotions for you. And so you come into a marriage and your partner is saying something how they feel. You're excusing their feelings, or you're making them feel that they shouldn't be feeling that. Somebody said to me, I say I'm feeling embarrassed. And my husband said, why should you be feeling embarrassed? Why should you be feeling embarrassed? And I'm like, that's how I feel. And so that was what even shut down that conversation that day. And the woman went sulking and went to bed. And even when they came for counseling, the husband was like, I don't understand. Why is she feeling embarrassed? And I'm like, you may not understand why she's feeling embarrassed, but it's important that you normalize her emotions. You validate her emotions. Her emotions are valid. I can't explain why you're feeling this way, but I respect that you're feeling that way. But many a times it's because nobody taught you in your home how to handle emotions. What if you were in a home where you were made to, like, you know what, this life is tough, all man to himself, and so your family was more about independence. Don't depend on anybody. People would break your heart. People would do this to you. And so you grew up doing solo life. You didn't have that balance of independence and support. And then you come into a marriage and your partner is saying, I don't see our team-centeredness. We're not working as a partner, and our partnership is wanting, and you're like, what? I'm used to doing things myself. You don't even bring up issues to be resolved. You can't handle conflicts. You feel bad when you're criticized, because you feel that criticism of your perspective is a criticism of yourself. But there are independent variables here. So a lot of us are communicating in our marriage the way that we saw our parents communicate and the way that our parents communicated to us. Imagine somebody who was raised in a home where the parents were really resourceful, where the parents were very available, where the parents, understood parenting, and the child felt seen. Like when they talked, they were listened to. When they had questions, the questions were entertained. Even when the parents did not know the answer to the question, they would say, they were honest enough to say they didn't know the answer, and they will get to seek how to find the answer. Somebody growing up in a home where you felt suited, like when something happened and you felt emotions and you expressed your emotions, you weren't laughed at, you weren't mocked, you weren't made to look like a weakling. Nobody said, oh, brush it off, you're a man or whatever. You actually felt that you were given an enabling environment to get in tune with your emotions, and you were taught how to deal with emotions, how to regulate your emotions, how to navigate your emotions. You grew up in a home where you felt safe to be you, safe to explore your dreams with your parents' guidance, balancing independence and support, and you really felt secure in your home. And then you get married to a man who may have had one or two dysfunctionalities, and I mean man figuratively. You get married to a partner, that's the better way to put it. You get married to a partner who grew up in a home where emotions were a taboo. Daddy's word was final. Mommy was not available, or the parents had their own issues and were consumed with, their marital issues or domestic violence, or dealing with their own self, that they were not able to provide you with the mental and emotional support. And these two people get married. What do you think will be happening to their communication? So fundamentally, you need to first of all understand, how has my upbringing impacted my communication? I worked with a couple once, and the lady would say to me, she actually fidgets, and then she finds herself jerk when her husband speaks because the man rows. She said to me, Dima, he doesn't just shout, he rows. And I grew up in a home where my father was tender. And so coming into marriage and seeing a man that was the opposite of my parents, I'm wondering, why do you talk this way? And it's like, how do I talk? That's how my voice is. No, you want to talk like a human being. And then somebody said to me, I don't even know. Today my wife is blowing hot, she's blowing cold. I don't know if she's available. I don't know if she's not available. But then we found out that the woman grew up in a dysfunctional home and was fearfully attached to her parents, a home that was chaotic, that the parents, they were always involved in one fight or quarrel. Eventually they separated and they got divorced, and the children were sent to different family homes. Even while they were at home, it was fearful, it was frightening. And so this young lady grows up, she doesn't even understand emotional stability, she doesn't know what it means to be available emotionally, she doesn't even know how to communicate and all that. And then the man is like, I'm tired of babysitting her. So it's important that you know which of this factor is impacting how you communicate. So that's parenting. Second factor is personality. Our personality impacts how we communicate. All right. And remember, how you communicate also impacts how your partner listens to you. So let's look at personality. How does our personality class impact our communication style? We start with the macho people, the powerful commander. That is one personality that is very bold, very outspoken, very domineering, and when they talk direct, they are blunt. All right, they are blunt, they are used to giving commands, he or she that must be obeyed, and that is how it comes. And they don't take prisoners, they just say it as it is. They are blunt, they are direct, they are domineering, they are bold, they are outspoken, they are not afraid to air their opinions, and sometimes they trample on their partner's emotions, because when they say these things, they don't really take regards for emotions. They just want to spill it out because they have that domineering persona to themselves. But when they speak like this to their partners, how does that impact their partners? Then secondly, we have the playful comedian. Those are the people with the magnetic personality type. So these ones are jovial, they are cheerful, they are spirited, they are very cordial, they are likable, they crack jokes a lot, they make fun a lot. It looks like they're not taking things seriously, and they are fun to be with. All right, so they really make you laugh, you enjoy their company, but sometimes it could get irritating where you feel like, okay, let's get serious here, and the person is still joking. You're like, get serious, Joe, get serious. So there's a magnetism to them. They are soft spoken, they like to play, and because they are that way and likable, they have a tendency to lie a lot. Okay, like, I mean, for them, they are not lying, they are just embellishing the story. And like I said, they crack a lot of jokes, and they could be flirtatious, and their partners may think they're flirting, but they're just catching fun. That is how they communicate, in that very not so playful, not so serious way of communicating. And then we have the peaceful collaborators. Those are the people with the manager personality. So these ones are loyal. They're very diplomatic in their speech. When they talk, they don't want to hurt people. So they're really very tactful. They talk with tact and poise. And then because, again, of their personality, they like to manage things. So in their communication, they evade conflicts. So they will rather just let peace be and not talk about things. They don't want to bring up conflict because they think, oh, I don't want to hurt or offend my partner. And so they don't really talk about it, even when it's stewing inside of them. Very diplomatic, this personality class. Then we have the perfect critic, the meticulous personality. And like you see their name, they're very meticulous. Not so much word spoken, but when they speak to you, they pierce your soul. So they can be very critical. All right, they can be very critical. They don't show mercy for imperfections, or when you don't do things the way it's supposed to be done. So they can really come out as very critical, very harsh. And when there's some people like, oh, when you offend them and they're saying, that's how you did this in 1980 on the 2nd of January, and you're wondering, are you keeping records of it? It's because they remember, right? So that is how they show up in conversations, critical and all of that. So which one are you? Where do you find yourself? Or can you find your partner? Is your partner that macho personality, and it even shows in how they say, do this, do that? Or is it the magnetic, like really warm-hearted? Is it the manager, or is it the meticulous? Because remember, your personality impacts how you communicate, and how you communicate impacts how your partner listens to you. Another P that influences how you communicate is pains. And usually these are unresolved pains that have not been dealt with, whether in your relationship or in past relationships, and you carry it on into this relationship. It also impacts the way that you communicate. So if somebody is nursing a rejection wound, a wound that makes you feel that you're not wanted, you are not loved, or there's no sense of belonging here, is going to impact how you communicate. Whether you're constantly asking for reassurance, or you are overly sensitive to criticism, or you don't want to have any conversation that will question you, because like, Rejection. Has your partner ever made you feel rejected? Or in past relationship, did you feel rejected? How has that impacted how you're communicating in your relationship and in your marriage right now? What about abandonment? Have you ever at any time felt abandoned? Or do you nurse a fear of abandonment? Where you're feeling, oh, will this marriage last? Will this man leave me? Maybe because somebody has left you in the past after you did everything to make the relationship work, and now you're not so sure. You have that unspoken fear inside of you. Are you aware that it will impact how you communicate? Because you might just be a people pleaser. You might just be an oh yes member in this marriage boat, because anything your partner says, okay, you make excuses for them, because deep down you are afraid that if I express myself really as it is, what if this person no longer wants me? And that makes you in a relationship not talking, not expressing yourself, but inside of yourself you're bottling a lot of things. And then when your partner is expressing themselves, you shut yourself from listening because there is something inside of you that is not fulfilled. Or maybe it's a humiliation wound. Maybe your partner has ridiculed you or embarrassed you in the past through their communication, maybe in public, maybe before the children or anywhere, and then you are nursing that wound and it's affecting how you communicate in your marriage. Could that be what it is? Is there a background to humiliation for you that you have not yet addressed or discussed with your partner? What of betrayal? Some people, the way they communicate in their relationship shows that they are nursing a betrayal wound. Like the partner did something that made them feel betrayed. And then you come into, when you are communicating, it's there. You're having this trust issues. You're always checking. You're questioning your partner's loyalty. Where are you? Where are you coming from? Who is that person? Who is that? It's because you need to talk about this thing before it chokes you. And sometimes, like I said, it's not necessarily this partner that did it. It could be an old relationship, but it is still in your heart, unresolved, undealt with, and it is still impacting your communication in your relationship. And we have the injustice wound. What if somebody who has felt that they were treated unfairly? Maybe you think that my partner should have defended me before his parents. Should have defended me when I had an issue with his sibling. He should have defended me when the church came against me. He should have done. Do you feel injustice? And because of that, you're cold towards your partner? But you don't talk about it, but it reflects in your communication, in your communication, yeah? There is that unconscious coldness that you bring. What is it? Nothing. Nothing. And this person is like, how do I get across to this person? I don't know what's going on in your mind. You know, until you sit with your partner and talk about whatever wounds, whatever hurts that you feel, your communication will continue to be superficial. You can only go into deeper levels of communication if you deal with the demons and the monsters that is impacting your communication. So have you felt rejected in this relationship? Have you felt abandoned? Have you felt humiliated? Have you felt betrayed? Have you felt being treated unjustly, and you've been nursing it and you've not dealt with it? And even if it was not in your current marriage but in past relationships, these wounds have comfort. You need to address it if you really want to improve your communication and also make your partner listen to you. And so that takes me to the very fourth P of why you communicate the way you communicate, and that is personal development. And that gives me so much joy, because all of us may have unhealthy communication patterns from parenting, from personality, and from pains. I remember early on in my marriage, I would always ask Nidum, do you still love me? Is there, and when he's angry, or not, it doesn't even need to get angry. When I just see that he's not in the mood, I'm like, what happened? Did I do anything? And then Nidum has always been in the health ministry, doing counseling and all of that. And then early in our marriage, when he has a counseling call, and I'm like, who's calling him? Or maybe it's one woman. I'm saying, why are they calling him? Who is that person? And it's like, it's my client. What were you discussing? Amen. It's against the ethics of the profession. But I'm really saying that because of these unhealthy patterns and self-perception that I had about myself and all of that, it made me question some of the things and showed up in my communication. But as I continued to grow personal development, I identified the unhealthy communication patterns stemming from my parenting, stemming from my pains, stemming from my personality, and started to address it. And Nidum also did that himself. So it doesn't matter where you are in your personal development, in your communication style. Personal development can improve your communication, because like Robin Sharma said, the swiftest way to triple your success in anything is to double your investment in personal development. So I want you to have an honest review with your partner. Sit down and talk about your current communication patterns in your relationship, and allow yourself, open yourself up, allow your partner to share with you those unhealthy communication pattern that exist in your relationship that rubs off them the wrong way, and then talk about it. Was it something you picked from home that you do unconsciously? Is it something from your personality? Is it a pain that you have not addressed that you need to talk about? Just discuss it. And I can tell you, the more you do this, the more your intimacy grows, because actually communication is the lifeline of every relationship. And I always say to people, once a couple can learn to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be open, and to have effective communication, they can actually navigate anything. Whatever challenge they have, they can talk it out. Whatever good times they have, they can reminisce on it together, and the love just keeps growing. So go do that reflection with your partner, and then I'll see you in the next video when we'll discuss something very important. Remember, we're here to talk about how to improve communication. So is there a way, really? I did say that there is a way to communicate without blaming your partner, and for your partner to hear you without feeling blamed. Is that possible? Watch out and learn it with us in the next video.